excited to see you standing up.
Yeah, me too. As far as the wreck goes, like obviously you guys saw it. I was just joking with Chad Johnson, my crew chief, earlier in the day, because we had talked about sprint cars and midgets and, you know, if I'd like to do it, and I said I would, but I don't want to go for a flip like they do, and go figure, right? But certainly I'm good. I'm okay. I got no broken bones. I'm not sore. I wasn't sore after it. A little bit of bruising, but nothing too crazy.
How are your eyes?
I figured you were gonna ask, so here you go. They aren't bad. I mean, I'm just gonna put an end to it right now because obviously people, what I want you all to know is racing in general, whether you're racing a sprint car or modified anything, it's dangerous. So there's consequences to everything. But what we do as race car drivers is we respect one another to not put ourselves in positions to be like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm fine. My vision's perfect. Everything about it. They don't hurt. They look bad to you guys, but you look at a 410 driver after some flips. They get this. It's from spinning in the air, all that, the blood flow, whatever. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, and a lot of other people out there aren't either. So what I can tell you is I went through all the tests. I feel fine. If I didn't feel fine, I wouldn't be in this car this weekend. But you know, obviously, I'm grateful and excited to be here.
Ryan, what about the experience of going through that crash? Did it feel like a second? Did it feel like a year? I mean, how did that unfold?
You know, like a lot of I've seen interviews from other drivers in the past talking about when you get sideways like that and as you go in the air, it gets real quiet. After experiencing that, that's 100% true. Everything beyond that, everything's happening so fast, and you know, you're just flipping through the air. And until that ride stops, all you're thinking about is just trying to contain yourself, right? You tense up and you hope that you're going to be okay, which obviously I am and was. Thank you to everybody at Daytona in the infield care center, the crew that came to me, and then as well as Daytona Med Center for taking care of me.
Did you put your nut down, or did it come down through the impact of the accident?
The member came and took it completely down, but it was, I can't speak for a lot of what happened with the netting situation. I see there's a lot of people out there that are putting it in slow-mo and breaking down the video, but the worker did.
Have you watched the video?
Yeah.
What goes through your mind, or like?
I feel like I'm watching a 410 sprint car, or not a wingless sprint car wreck. You know, I saw a lot of comments talking about the underbody and kind of creating like a plywood effect, right? I'm sure that we're all going to look at this and work on something to help that if that situation occurs, that the car will not want to take off like it did. But you know, from a safety standpoint, I feel like I've kind of been the test dummy, so to speak, with the frontal impact and then even the rollover. Joking, obviously, but I feel fine, you know. And to be honest with you, I was a lot more sore after the frontal impact than I was this one. I look, from an optics standpoint, worse today, you know, than I did after the front impact.
You're talking about the Larson impact when you say the front impact.
Yes.
Okay.
Have you seen the car?
Have I seen the car? Not yet. I took it easy. You know, I was lucky enough. I talked to Misha Tate from MMA about just some of this bruising for you guys, because I wanted to clear that up as quick as possible, because I felt fine. I didn't want to feel like there was an optics issue of me showing up here to race this weekend and doing my job and fulfilling my commitment as a race car driver to my team, but as well as my guys in here, because you know, that means a lot to me.
Do you want to be involved in the process when NASCAR, you know, starts breaking down? I mean, clearly this week you're busy, but would you like to know what's being done? Yeah. I think we all do, right? As drivers, we want to be very involved in the process. So, you know, moving forward, you know, I'd like to go see the car. I'd like to explain to them what I went through, and then as well as figuring out a way to help keep the car on the ground. I mean, we've come so far from the early 90s, right? And with the roof flaps and all that stuff. So, yeah.
a lot
Did
of
you get
people.
hit by Jones and then hit by Briscoe?
Well,
it was hard to tell some of that, but exactly kind of what happened.
Yeah,
in the
so
replays.
Eric went to push me, give me a bump draft, and you know, with these cars, if I think I might have been checking up a little bit for the guy in front of me, and it just hit me the wrong way, and that sent me into Chase. So from there, when I went across Chase's front bumper, and it turned us at that sideways angle and allowed, I don't necessarily know how the air got under the car, if it was from going from the asphalt to the grass and it was bouncing. I do, you know, we run these cars really rigid to get the most performance out of them that we can, and that's just what we're going to do. And I'm not saying that that's an issue at all. I'm just saying that whatever happened to allow the air under the car, it made it go up.
A lot of people have been talking about the roof hitch coming undone during the flip. Is there anything from the safety side that can be done about that, or is that just like a freak accident?
I haven't seen the car, so I can't really speak on that.
What about the pirouette? I mean, you know, the tumbling was one thing, but when you started spinning like a top, that was something else that we really hadn't seen either.
I think well, we haven't seen that in a long time, right? To be honest with you, that'll go into just like years ago when they were able to keep cars on the ground. That'll go into them looking at it and figuring out ways to stop that from happening. I don't know. I'm not an aeronautical engineer by any point or by any means. I'm just a race car driver that loves racing, loves competition, loves adrenaline, and wants to be here at the racetrack.
Ryan, were you surprised that you came out of this as well as you did? I mean, look, these cars are safe, but that was a big hit. And when you're at Halifax, was that, you know, you're like, hey, get me out of here because I'm fine, I don't need to be here, or how did you feel about this?
At 11:30 or 12 o'clock, I was looking at them and say, let me go, I'm ready to leave. But out of, I guess, so they felt better, I decided to stay until 6 in the morning. But I felt fine. That's what we are. You know, a lot of people, the difference between us and most people that would go and drive a car is this is what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be tough. And it's okay to be tough. It's okay to do those things. And, you know, I feel good. You know, my wife even joked with me on Monday morning and said, you got out of bed quicker than me. So, you know, me as a person who my father raised me to be the way I am, how tough I am, and how I want to be as a person. So it's okay to be that way.
Ryan, we interviewed all 16 playoff drivers yesterday for the Netflix show. One of the questions was, you know, what's the most memorable or intense wreck you've seen or been a part of? Every single one of them talked about your experience at Daytona, like being a part of that kind of impact for so many guys who have been a part of so many races.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that?
I'd rather be a part of history for a better reason, for sure. But, you know, at the end of the day, this is a moment for our sport to continue evolving the car, which is important. Not that I want to be the one or any of us to be that person to figure out, you know, what we need to work on, but it's gonna help us get in the right direction.
Did you ever think about not racing?
No way.
I mean, you're not in the playoffs.
Here's what I'll say.
What's the harm in sitting a week?
Why? Yeah, but why? I mean, as a racer, why? You know what I mean? You go talk to a guy that's racing a 410 or a modified. We love to race, and I feel completely fine. So why stop? You know what I mean? It's completely. I get what you're saying. It's okay to not race, but it's okay to race, and I think that's what really needs to be said here.
And you have no concussion-like symptoms?
I have no concussion-like symptoms. If I had headaches or blurry vision or anything like that I felt that I'd be endangering myself or anybody here racing, I wouldn't be racing. Especially, I have a family at home that I have to worry about as well. So this is my job. This is what I want to do, and I feel completely fine to do it.
Did you hug them a little bit tighter when you got back to North Carolina?
Do what?
Did you hug your wife and daughter?
Yeah, I held my daughter for the most part all day Sunday and gave my wife a hug and a kiss. And, you know, it just goes to show you that sometimes when you think about making moves that, and I'm not talking about mine, I'm just saying in general, sometimes you'll see some careless moves, and no matter where you're at racing in the country, you got to think about, because as safe as we feel we are because of the safety of race cars and how things have evolved, there's still people in those race cars.
Were there any belts or anything?
I didn't bruise from the belts. Nope.
Were there any safety implements that were made from the wreck at Talladega in this car that you felt benefited you in this crash?
I mean, my crotch belt area didn't hurt like it did after Kyle Larson and I wrecked at Talladega, so I guess so. But the wreck I had was different. It's not. It was flipping was completely different, but the cage held up. I don't think we tested that, nor do I feel like you go through tests to see how that would. You just hope that it would, and all that stuff was good.
Would you want the car back?
Did you get hit in the face with anything? Or?
No, I didn't get hit in the face with anything. I don't know. You'd have to ask a sprint car guy on why those things happen. We typically don't flip that many times.
Would you want the car back in your own possession?
I don't know. I'd rather a car from one day when I win. I don't like to look at the bad days. The worst part about that day was us, from an organization standpoint at Stewart Haas, we were all really fast. We had such fast race cars, and, to not be able to capitalize on a car that I felt like would do everything I wanted it to do is frustrating. As a race car driver, more frustrated about that than, the flipping.
A lot of wrecks have been used to advertise other races on TV and stuff. How do you feel about this one potentially being used for marketing and stuff for future races at Daytona?
Well, I think it's a good opportunity for racechoice.com, and they sell a lot of safety equipment. So hopefully this will help that and continue our partnership. But I mean, I'm moved on. I'm ready for Darlington.
Would you advocate for getting rid of the grass on the front stretch of Daytona?
I mean, from that standpoint, that's whatever. I'd rely on guys like Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch and guys that have been around a long time. I went through one tumble. I haven't looked at a detailed. I haven't looked into the video as much as maybe some of those guys have, just because I don't want to watch it. I'm focused on Darlington today, and I haven't. Why continue to look backwards?
Kevin said he talked to you like practically every day. I'm guessing the support in the garage must have been pretty gratifying for you.
Yeah, I mean, we race against each other, and there's times where we definitely want to, bring each other's head off, but we all care. We don't want to see anybody get hurt.
All right, guys, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ryan. This is Blaine Perkins, driver of the number 9 Raceline Wheels CR7 Motorsports Chevy. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also check out one of those 2 videos beside me. Visit frontstretch.com for more racing content.